up over time. And it appears that the draft might have been done without us, but there is a little bit of good news, Hex. I believe the map might just be Hollywood.
It might be Dorado. Hollywood? Oh,
Yes.
it even gets better. We're starting EU right. We're going to Dorado. We're going to Hollywood. We can get to go either of those in our GoodGame.ru tournament earlier this morning. Thank you,
Yeah,
EU
but
teams.
well, still on EU teams, and now we got some Dorado in the last series, and we're getting some Hollywood in this series. So it sort of goes to show that depending on what teams you are watching, you really can get a good bit of variation in the maps because teams do have different map priorities, different things they like, different things they dislike, and it just varies.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that one team that really likes playing Temple of Anubis. Yet to find that team.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ever going to find that team. That would, I mean, it might exist someday, but will Temple of Anubis still exist in the game in its current form by that point?
Yeah, I really want to preach it to a team to just form just around Temple of Anubis, try to force every team onto that map. You can be the Anubis team. It'd be great. Sign up for our NA weeklies, which sometimes don't have the teams that we want in them, but there's a new round of beta coming out. Everyone should have it. Make a team, join our tournaments, all that. Our tournaments, which are kindly sponsored by Rocket, DX Racer, and Matcherino. Throwing into that prize pool, we got $360 to hand out to the winners. Thanks to those people. They all make great things. You know it. You've heard the spiel before. Check them out. Support them. Support us. We truly appreciate it. Now, back to the game.
Yep, we are loading in to Hollywood, and we're going to be seeing the defense of Arcane to begin with, and it looks like we are going to be seeing that early Symmetra.
Symmetra on Hollywood is the new meta. Very strong. There's always turrets everywhere, slowing everyone down. And I've said it before about turrets. They may not kill you, but they're emptying your clip. They're turning your eye. They're causing your attention to go elsewhere and letting everyone else kill you. And then, of course, getting the teleporter up is extremely important. As Symmetra's value is really judged upon, does that teleporter come up? Did at least 3 people use it? If so, it was a good Symmetra life.
Yeah, and we've sort of seen a rise of people sometimes being greedy at their Symmetra play too, where they'll wait a long time to put down their teleporter, but then they don't get the teleporter down. So there's sort of
I like when
almost meta game going on with that, where teams gamble perhaps a little bit too much with the teleporter.
I like when they get punished for that. I think it's dumb. I think anytime you have your teleporter up, you should be running away unless you're like really in trouble and can maybe one out of it. But your only job as a Symmetra is to get that teleporter up. People holding it to try to do more damage or whatever they're holding it, I'm glad when they get punished for it. Get that telly down.
Well, that being said, taking a look at the defense coming out for Arcane Esports, we got Nevix on Reaper, Cruz on McCree, Ruster on Symmetra, Lullaby on Zenyatta, Vio on the Reinhardt, and Sanchez on Lucio.
And our SG roster is going to be Zapis on Lucio, Pumpu on McCree, Rula is going to play Zenyatta, Hawks on Reinhardt, Mafu on Reaper this time, and Himzi on Genji. A very aggressive lineup.
It's a pretty beautiful turret setup from the Symmetra. It's all sort of a line to the back, and God forbid if anyone goes into that sort of backdoor area, because they are going to get zapped by a great deal of Symmetra.
Yeah, it's actually a great combination. This is where Reaper's always been hanging out lately. A lot of people don't check these corners, and they don't check him again. He's behind these trees. He does get flashbanged out, though. I like the idea of it. Didn't quite work out, though.
Yeah, both teams trading off kills, though. 2 people down on each team. Not a guaranteed win for either team by any means. And we see Himzi and Pumpu picking off kills, and they're making some good progress into this point. They're taking out the Symmetra turrets, and they're moving in. We see Lucio really switching back and forth, getting good value out of his ability to switch on all this, and Zapis Mafu cleaning up Ruster and Sanchez. So just like that, SG-1 is going to take point A, and
yeah, they're rolling hard. That teleported never even had a chance to come up. The Symmetra died. Symmetra is now out of the game, being replaced by a Winston.
yeah, and that's very common. I mean, usually teams won't keep up the Symmetra beyond point A just because the teleporter loses a good deal of its value as you go forward on the map.
Yeah, they're going to try to take these rooftops. Himzi with the orb is going to go right after Nevix. Nevix is going to come back, but he does not know Mafu is early, waiting for him to fall down the roof. Mafu does not go for the kill.
And taking a look at this, we just take a look at Pumpu. Pumpu just very content to be behind the Reinhardt, poking with McCree and going from there. And it's going to be up to really Arcane to come in with some sort of flank or something to break this up just a bit. And that's going to come from Nevix and nothing else. And just as I said, that Nevix able to take out Mafu in the Reaper v Reaper. And down he comes, coming in on the flank, has Lucio in his sights. Takes him out, so that's a double kill for Nevix. And Arcane making a game of it, rushing back in and wiping out the majority of the SG-1 team.
Yeah, I really liked what Ruster did there too. He was really patient on his Winston, then he threw it down in the middle of the fight, and that shield came out of nowhere. They weren't expecting it, and that allowed Nevix to clean up the rest of the team.
Going to the next fight, looks like both teams are going to have sound barrier up. We see this very often where one team will blow sound barrier on going in, whether it be an over-aggressive defense or an aggressive offense. And then the other team will just use sound barrier in response. So sort of a wash there. Take a look, we do have Transcendence coming up for SG-1. And here they come, sound barriers down, and they are rushing in. Both sound barriers used just like that, but Transcendence will be up in a moment. Both teams ring up kills. Defender's actually on the advantage here. Nevic's able to get Pumpu, and that is a big deal.
Yeah, offense got very segmented during their push. Offense is still very segmented right now, and they're getting cleaned up one by one because they're just not taking smart fights.
Yeah, the interesting thing there is I think if SG-1 had grouped up a little bit more, they really could have taken advantage of the Transcendence, because Lullaby was a bit further away from getting Transcendence than, of course, Rula was, who had it up. And now, for this next attack, they're down Transcendence, so down Sound Barrier, but they're still going to have to get through Lullaby's Transcendence, so this next attacking run might be a bit of a waste for SG-1.
Yeah, and Arcane is set up in a really good defensive position. I like what they're doing now in this defense. As bad as their defense looked on first point is as good as it's looked so far in second, although Dragon Blade comes down, but that's 3 quick kills already for Arcane. 4.
Yeah, nice stuff coming up now. I don't even know if they needed the Dragon Blade there, but just devastating stuff as, again, 6 members of SG-1 getting taken out. And Arcane Esports, like I said, it's very possible that they've leveled up their game since the last time we've seen them.
Yeah, they look strong. Maybe, I mean, that first point, it's all about getting the Symmetra, you know, getting killed early. That really caused that first point to look as badly as it did, but this is a very good hold on Rooftop.
Yeah, very, very good stuff coming out thus far. That being said, we do have Mafu with the offensive Death Blossom coming up. I do think Sound Barrier is coming up soon for the attack, so they might be waiting for that. Discord Orb goes on Reaper, but you know, he doesn't even care. Not even phased a bit. Defensive Death Blossom coming from Nevix does not get the value, only takes out Himsy, and now with 2 people down on defense, this is sort of SG-1's opportunity.
Yeah, they did just lose a couple, though. They had all 6 up for a second. They do have ultimates up for the most part. They're going to use a Sound Barrier now and push a little short-handed, but still with the advantage. They need to get it through these houses and around the corner, then they can approach it a different angle.
They're getting progress here, but it's very, very hard fought. Arcane is making them work for every little bit of progress they get. And I gotta think Arcane's gonna be coming out soon. They do have Sound Barrier up on Sanchez. Taking a look at this. He's gonna drop the beat any moment. And in they come. There it is. The beat is dropped. Cruz is going in. Has Pumpu in his sights. Reflects the high noon. Doesn't get the kill, though. But either way, Pumpu not getting the most value out of his Deadeye. And Nevix with the double kill in the back. And it's looking like, again, Arcane Esports going to have a pretty good defense here, X.
Yeah, Rula's had a tough game. He's dead again on the Zenyatta, and that really ends up powering down a lot of the healing and whatnot. We do have a Roadhog coming out. A Roadhog offensively. Huh, what do you make of that?
I'm not sure what to make of that. Right now we do see that Mafu does have his Death Blossom up. He is looking to go in, if possible. Doesn't have defensive ults to go with it, but sometimes not needed. He gets taken out by the Earth Shatter, though. Again, nice stuff coming up from the defense. And Nevix, I just want to say this. I mentioned him as a person to watch beforehand, but Nevix has been doing some great work this far, Hex.
Yeah, Nevix's Reaper is really going sick. Rula comes out with a Transcendence, kind of in an odd spot. They didn't necessarily have to use it, but it does grant them some position on the cart. I wonder if this Roadhog is just to create the ultimate. There aren't the best hook targets. You'd think you'd want to prioritize Nevix, but he can get away from a hook pretty easily, and hooking Genji is difficult.
Well, I think right now you're just seeing the Roadhog, and look at Nevix. Nevix going at the Death Blossom, doing a ton of damage, picks up a double kill, but really it did so much more. Nice play coming from Nevix, and again, we're just going to see SG-1 getting pushed back continually.
Yeah, and they're going to chase. The Winston on the chase today has been a theme that we've seen. A lot of times you don't have to run those kind of chasey type of heroes. You can sit back with a McCree or a 76 as long as someone is there to able to secure a kill on the retreat, and that's been Winston throughout the day.
Yeah, and I don't think SG-1 expected to get sort of stuck at this point to the degree that they have. And Nevix again in the pack doing such work, able to take out Rula. And they're just, SG-1 I think is out of sorts right now. They need to coordinate, refocus, do something, because they're just streaming in, getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, I don't know why they're going through these middle sections either. It seems like a really easy way to get picked off on both sides and from above. I really prefer going around the long side all the way to the right around this big health pack. You have this long sight line there. You can change up different classes. Someone goes to the rooftop. It's a better angle of approach, I think, and also they're failing in their approach right now, so they need to change something.
Yeah, they definitely need to change something up, if nothing else. So, take a look at this. We see Mafu and Himsy are able to get some picks offs. This might be if they need to finally get the payload to the next checkpoint. It is moving, finally, but they've paid so much to get to this point. That being said, they do have good offensive ultimates here. They do have Transcendence, and I think we might just see them to concede this point. Although, just as I say that, Reinhardt, proving me wrong, comes out with the Dragon Blade and the Earth Shatter. Transcendence is out, but it might be a little bit too late, as they've already gotten 2, now 3 pickoffs, so they are not conceding anything, Hex, as they come in.
No, and again, the hook comes down. It comes down on the Genji. What's the point of that? The Roadhog pick, I think, is interesting. I mean, it's something that we don't necessarily see. I'm just not certain as to what purpose it is serving. Are they trying to hook the Zenyatta? I think there's better ways to try to achieve what they're trying to achieve, but I'm not even certain what they're trying to achieve with it.
Yeah, it's not really clear. I mean, the only thing I can think of with the Roadhog is that they're trying to get the Genji. And oftentimes Roadhog can be pretty good against Genji. And we have seen SG, I think it was SG-1 actually that used it to good effect in the past, but it clearly is not working out from here. And they only have 18 seconds to bring this to the next point.
It was SG-1 actually. That's a good point. They did play it against Genji heavy compositions. It's just not working out as well here.
Oh my god. Nevix with an incredible Death Blossom takes out 4 people. And I'm sorry, Mafu, your Death Blossom will not be anywhere near as impressive this day. This is going to be a nice hold coming out from Arcane.
Yep, I think we've seen the Roadhog before just to finish up this point, but it's in a composition that doesn't have a Reaper, a composition that's focusing only on Genji, because I think we've seen it on King of the Hill maps from SG-1, and actually on Hollywood too, you're right, but I don't know that it's, I don't know. I'm confused by it.
This. Bray was curious about the first-person point of view of Nevix here as he comes in and just wipes the board with SG-1. So, really interesting game because SG-1 started this out very, very dominant. They came in, they took point A very quickly, and then they were just stuck forever in the streets of Hollywood trying to get through there, and they never actually got through.
No, we've seen the streets and the demise too. What a turnaround though. After losing that first point so poorly, they were able to mount a defense, then push back a little bit and mount an even forward defense. They were able to chase to get kills and overall just defend that point really, really well.
Yep. So now all that's at stake here for Arcane the win is they just need to get to the second checkpoint in Hollywood, and that's it. They will take this map and we'll move on to map number 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool of them to see them sell out kind of and use all their alts just to defend that point and make sure that he did not get there, making the offensive side of their map much easier for them. I really thought that their retreat, they're all behind the wall for the most part. They weren't even out in the action when they started popping their alts, but then it was hello surprise and they ended up winning that fight and denying the second point.
Yep, so we're going to see SG-1's attempted defense here. Even though Arcane looked really good, SG-1 has put off some very, very good defensive performances as well. So we might see Arcane get stuck just as much as SG-1 was.
Yeah, Hollywood is a difficult map to predict as far as where people are going to get stuck. I think the rooftops are generally regarded as one of the hardest areas to push, but then Hollywood last is not easy to push either. We've seen some interesting Widowmaker play on both offense and defense on last. To kind of mitigate the difficulties of pushing in, and are we going to be seeing Junkrat today?
I think we might be seeing some Junkrat offense. We've been hearing about sort of the new Junkrat meta, but since the offense can change up, let's take a look at the defense real quick from SG-1. Very similar to the defense coming out from Arcane, really, with Zappos on Lucio, Himsy on the Symmetra, Fox on Reinhardt, Pampu on McCree, Mafu on Reaper, and Rua on the Zenyatta. And I'm going to note, is that really a Bastion offense?
Well, it was momentarily. I didn't put too much stock in the Bastion, knowing that that was likely a troll, which made me doubt if they're going to run actually a Junkrat or not. I'm pretty sure the Cruise is going to stay on Genji, Lullaby will be on Zenyatta. Vio is going to play Reinhardt, Ruster is going to play Reaper, Sanchez on Lucio, and it looks like Nevix is going to roll as Junkrat.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see sort of the emergence of Junkrat here. The rumors have been circulated, and here we go. Junkrat dropping the bombs in already, and look at the spam. I mean, if nothing else, even though it's not hitting anything, it still forces space, it still clears things back.
Yep.
And I can see the power of this.
It's area denial. It's exactly what he excels at. Can't believe he did not see Mafu as he ran past that Genji. Oh, he did. He was just rope-a-doping him.
Yeah, we do see Mafu in a little bit of thrust there, and look at the Junkrat spam heading into that area, forcing him back. And really, this is a nice approach for Arcane. No one's died just yet. Yeah. Sanchez, though, is going to eat it to Mafu, but I like how Arcane is approaching this, even if this doesn't work out.
It's not spam, it's tactical area denial.
Yeah, that being said, Mafu doing a good job of sort of navigating in between the Junkrat bombs to pick off 2 defensive picks here. And now, really, Arcane's going to have to sort of sit back and go, okay, let's regroup before going back into this. And again, while Arcane only needs to get to the second checkpoint, getting through this first checkpoint can be a challenge, especially if Himsy gets up a teleporter, which is looking more and more likely.
Yeah, as those orbs keep spamming it, there's some chip damage. The ultimate is up now for Himsy. It's going to be only a matter of time till the teleporter goes up, as long as Himsy does not get greedy.
Yep. Teleporter should be coming up online any moment. We see look at Mafu in the back. Mafu sort of fighting back and forth here. Has to be careful. Can't really fight the other Reaper with the orb, so he's sort of picking and using his moments to some degree of success as Pumpu backing him up, takes out the Reaper, and now Genji's gonna go down. So those are two very vital picks for SG-1.
Okay, so a small amount of greed from Himsy. Waited for at least one member of his team to die before putting down the teleporter. The only problem with that is if you happen to be the first member to die, you're in trouble. But Himsy, it worked out for him. The teleporter's up. A much more successful defense so far coming out of SG-1.
Yeah, and again, SG-1 can't rest on their laurels just because of the fact that they didn't get to the second checkpoint. Here comes the sound barrier. Here comes Arcane Esports. Arcane rushing in. Sanchez, Zappis trading off kills. Brustler, Himsy trading off. Again, sort of a bloodbath on both sides. Neither team really getting a big advantage just yet. Take a look at Nevix in the back doing some work on Junkrat. Both teams again sort of trading off, and really it is a slugfest here, Hex.
Yeah, it's getting kind of brutal down there. Everyone's kind of taking a lot of damage, but it looks like SG-1 is going to have a successful defense here.
You know why? The teleporter. Even though they're trading off kills, the people that were dying were able to come back in off the teleporter, and Symmetra just helped secure that defense.
Yeah, it's definitely the power of Symmetra there. Now, all SG-1 has to do is either hold this first point for a while or deny second point, because I'm guarantee you they captured first point faster.
Alex just went down, but Mafu went down as well. I think he took some damage from the Junkrat passive and the Symmetra. The only problem is that the teleport is still up. He's probably gonna be able to get back in. So really, if Arcane's gonna make a move, they need to make the move soon, and it has to be decisive because yes, they have all the time they can get to point number 2, but right now, the way they're going, they might not even get to point number 1.
Yeah, one step at a time. That Junkrat was not very effective at all. They did switch off and are adding a McCree to the mix instead.
So, rip Junkrat, not as effective as one. Dragon Blade is out for the offense. They pick off 2 kills pretty quickly. Here comes the Death Blossom, trying to get value. Does not quite get the value he is looking for. And again, they need to kill the teleporter here. It's all good if they get these pick-offs, but if they all are able to teleport in, it's all for naught.
The teleporter might be out of charges. I don't see it up anymore.
Yeah, I think that actually is what happened. A lot of charges got used in the last fight, but I'll tell you what, the defense is still doing a decent job of holding on to this.
Yeah, did
with
BO time
respawns
out?
And coming back in.
I think BO timed out.
That would be a very, that's a very unfortunate disconnect coming out because Reinhardt's sitting there not doing anything, and he really could have made the difference, especially with the Earth Shatter. Crew's saying game crash feels bad, man. Scumbag Reinhardt just goes AFK in the middle, or is a game crash. Take your pick.
Yeah, and it was sad because he had that skin of like kind of the haggard old man. He was just hanging his head, not doing anything. It was a really tragic picture.
Reinhardt had a moment of serious self-reflection in the middle of a fight. It happened. He remembered some of his not-so-great memories, Hex. Why are you judging him? Regardless, we do see Nevix in the back here. Reinhardt has left the game, so there is now a 5v6, and this is definitely not what Arcane wants on their attacking round.
No, it is a tough situation. The ultimates are coming down defensively.
Yeah, but a team of SG-1's quality, I don't think they're going to get in on them 5v6. It just seems very unlikely, and unfortunately for Arcane, it looks like this is going to be a first point hold for SG-1. The disconnect is real unfortunate because I think they were about to get it on that push.
It's very possible. We'll see if there's anything that happens with this game. I think SG-1 probably takes that anyway, but that's not exactly how we want to run it. So Nevix with a couple picks, though, on McCree. I think the Junkrat play is much better suited to defense on this map.
That being said, we do have the final push coming out from Arcane, but Mafu with the Death Blossom going to take out 3 people, and that will be it. Cruz coming in, swinging his Dragon Blade wildly, does not get the values.
This is a valiant effort.
So SG-1 going to take map 1. Probably not the way that they would have liked to have taken map 1, given the disconnect, but unfortunately these things do happen. So SG-1 going up 1-0 over Arcane, but that being said, Arcane looked pretty strong throughout all of this.
Arcane looked very strong. I was actually a little bit surprised how well SG played after Arcane played the way they did. But some interesting strategies coming out from Arcane there. I like the Junkrat. I like the idea. I think it's not the first or last time, or it's not the last time we're going to see Junkrat today for sure. I like him better in a defensive capability there, defensive capacity. You're able to set up traps. You're able to kind of spike tire freely. I don't think we saw a single ultimate from Junkrat do anything there. So that single target damage is helpful. I don't know. They played well enough, but not well enough to win.
Yeah, and again, I think it would be interesting to see what would have happened if the Reinhardt didn't DC there. I actually think they would have taken that, and then after that point, who knows how they would have gone through the streets. I mean, SG-1 was looking like they were putting up a very good defense, but we will never know, and unfortunately the way rules work and all these sorts of things, in the event of a pull plug like that late to the game, you can't. There's no regame or anything like that, so Arcane will have to hold the L on map 1, but hopefully they come back strong in map 2 for their sakes.
Yeah, Arcane definitely can take a map off, and it seemed a lot more even than I actually really thought. I thought Arcane was going to get kind of rolled over by SG-1. That's just the stake I put in SG-1. But like you've said, teams can level up, and it's been a week since I've seen Arcane. So what do I know anymore? They could have gotten that much better in a week, and they looked really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Arcane, they can bring it back. I really, assuming they fix their connections and come back, they have all the tools at their disposal to bring it back. Also, chat now just sort of catching up on the moment. Quote, Reinhardt remembered why he retired in the first place.
I love our chat experience.
The chat experience is great, man. It brings some good things. So, regardless, we will be getting into the new map draft momentarily here. This is going to be map number 2, SG-1 versus Arcane. And, hopefully for Arcane, they bring it back and go from there, because it does suck to sort of lose a map off an event like that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of map draft, we are really looking at the idea of what to do with our map draft. We've had some feedback here and there of what people like and what people don't like. There's too many breaks. There's not enough breaks. I wish there were more bans. I want to see every map played on Temple of Anubis. Everyone's got a sort of opinion on it. We are listening to your opinions before we spend the time and effort to convince developers to redo OWDraft.com. And if you've worked with software developers, you know that we don't want to go into this lightly without a plan. So we are looking for your input at GosuGamers.net/Overwatch. We've got polls up there about what should we do with drafts, what should we do with maps, what should we do overall, what am I doing with my life? All of those questions are up there for you to help us answer. And please head over there, fill out our polls. You don't have to log in or anything. They're all anonymous polls. We're going to use that information to redo OW Draft and kind of retool the way we do things, maybe, unless everyone says what you're doing right now is perfect and we love you based on reading the chat. I don't think that's the case. So your input is valuable for how we proceed with our OW Draft tool and how we just kind of conduct these tournaments in the future. But if you don't vote, you don't get to complain about it. That goes for everything. So go vote at our GosuGamers.net/Overwatch polls.
And Hex basically said everything better than I could, but while we're talking about things to look at while waiting for the map draft, a huge shout out to our sponsors, Rocket, Matcherino, and DX Racer. Rocket, of course, known for great computer peripherals, things like, your mouse, your mouse pad, anything you connect to your computer, Rocket probably makes something for it. Matcherino, providing great crowdfunding options for the esports scene. Just in general, hopefully get more from Matcherino in the next week, but they are some great guys and working on some really phenomenal stuff. Definitely check them out, Matcherino.com. And DX Racer, you guys know them. They've sponsored a million things, but one thing they're sponsoring is the GosuGamers Overwatch Weeklies, and they make great chairs to sit in.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, I think we have our next map draft up.
Ew. So, bringing this up. This is going to be SG-1 versus Arcane, map number 2. Arcane looking to sort of avenge their Hollywood loss that we just saw, and we'll see if there's any changes in the map strategy, because if you're Arcane, you're probably not too worried about going back to Hollywood, even despite what just happened.
Probably not. I mean, you played well enough on it. Apparently, Arcane does not like King of the Hill maps. SG-1 is with the rest of the world, and they don't like Volskaya. So those are the first 2 maps out, Nepal and Volskaya.
Yep.
No Anubis, unfortunately. One of these days, we'll go to Anubis. One of these days.
One of these days, but will the world be ending at that point? I mean, I just find it so hard to see or envision a scenario where Temple Anubis comes up, aside from both teams just playing chicken with each other, saying, you'll ban it, won't you? No, you'll ban it. And then suddenly it just sort of realizes, oh, wait, no one banned it. We're on Anubis.
You know who's really fun to play on Anubis is Junkrat. Really great to play on Anubis. You just tactically deny area the whole time.
Which is my new term as a tracer, to run into Junkrat traps on Anubis, because there's practically no areas to go through.
There is something that has to be changed with his traps, though, right? Because when they're on regular ground, they stick out like a neon sign. And when they're on stairs, there's maybe half an inch of them visible. So if those could be more consistent on how to see Junkrat traps, that would be great.
Or maybe just don't go on stairs. And SG-1 is going to take out Hollywood, and I definitely see why. I mean, if not for the DC, that could have very easily have gone against them. So I agree with SG-1 taking out Hollywood here.
Yeah, maybe there's a map they're more comfortable on. That last call was maybe a little too close for comfort. You can't depend on the dial-up internet gods to be on your side every time. Not that he has dial-up internet, but...
So we are heading to Gibraltar. A little bit more variety coming in.
Okay.
There's going to be... I'm down with just some Gibraltar. You might even see some good Widow play coming out of SG-1.
It's definitely a good Widow map. We probably won't see a Symmetra. It's one of the maps that I don't think I've ever seen a Symmetra on. But yeah, a wide variety of heroes. It's very possible we could see a Torbjorn or a Bastion. I know mostly that's in pub play, but there's some good areas for it. And really, this map to me always comes down about the momentum from point 1 to point B. If you get stopped after taking point 1, it's really hard to take that hangar area. If you get some great momentum after taking point 1 and are able to aggressively take the hangar area as an offense, you're in a really good position to kind of roll through to the second point.
Yeah, very, very common. So it looks like we are going to have a side switch up here. Cruz and the roster of Arcane saying, we want to attack first, please. So, but oftentimes teams don't really have too much of a preference, but in this case, there is a preference.
All right.
So switch up there.
And take a look at the bracket and see if there's any bracket news that came through.
Bracket news. We should have some bracket updates in general. In fact, bring that up for you guys.
We should have like an off-site reporter in a cheap suit who only does bracket news, and we can cut to him. Put that in the production notes document. I want it done by
the production. The guy who's just watching the bracket intensely. But we take a look at it. IDDQD did get past Ventus, so no gigantic upset there, though. The potential was real. IDDQD took it in a firm 2. In fact, all our first round matches have been taken by firm 2, so shoutouts to seeding. GosuGamer rankings, you know, they are in flux because Overwatch is pretty new, but it does help create pretty good seedings for these sorts of events where, you know what, we won't get everything perfect, but we do our best to get as much perfect as possible.
It's especially difficult. They do an exceptional job based on all the teams that are kind of reforming and redoing. It's like when does a team actually become a new team? When they change 1, when they change 5 rosters? But the people who run the behind the guts at GosuGamers deserve a ton of credit. All our admins, all our coverage guys, and you'll never see their name on a byline. You'll never see them on camera, but they're the ones who really are the heart of the site. So while you're there filling out our polls based on what we should do with the maps, which is also more work done by people you'll never see, check out our rankings. All the math and all the coverage that goes into it is really, really worthwhile. And definitely check out all of our Overwatch content while you're there. Yeah, so Broken Edge versus IDDQD is going to happen. Whatever is going to visit Quake Fortress. Didn't they already play each other, did they?
I think they did, so that's going to be round number 2 for them, whatever versus Quake Fortress, and yeah. You never know what will happen on the rematch.
Yeah, and then Reunited is up 101 mix, and they'll be facing the Glingos in round 2. Bracket shaking up.
Bracket is in fact shaping up, and again, I think the biggest story here is is IDDQD going to live up to their hype that they sort of generated, not only in their first tournament appearances, but all their scrim appearances throughout the week? And then B, if they do end up against Reunited, who will reign supreme? Will it be Reunited again, find themselves back at second after a brief reprieve at number 1 earlier today? Or will they continue their trend of number 1 tournament finishes? That being said, taking a look at the defensive lineup coming out from SG-1, we got Hawks on Reinhardt, Pumpu on McCree, Rula on Zenyatta, Zappis on Lucio, Himzy on Genji, and Mafu rounding things out on the Roadhog.
They really do dig that Roadhog. I think it's going to be much more effective against the composition that we see coming out of Arcane.
Interesting switch up here is that there's a little bit of fluidity in the SG-1 roster, because before we saw Himzy on it, even in the previous tournaments, but now it's Mafu on the Roadhog, so here's to see how this works out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Mafu has the shark skin for Roadhog, so that's definitely a downgrade. Probably going to hit less hooks because of it. Arcane is going to run Ruster on 76. Nevix is going to be playing Tracer. Cruz on Genji. Sanchez on Lucio. Vio on Winston. And Lullaby on Zenyatta.
You know what we're seeing here? We got another appearance of Tracer, and let's see what Nevix does here. Nevix, of course, had really good play on Reaper in the last round, and I'm excited to see what he brings out for Tracer here.
Yeah, so they're just going to kind of push the cart and posture up with their Zenyatta combo up here.
I don't think Nevix saw the Zenyatta, but he did have a potential blink in there. I just don't think he sees what we see. And he goes down to Pumpu. Pumpu 2-shots him. So, a very unceremonious end the Tracer there.
Yeah, and
courtesy of Punpu.
Vio gets a little bit too deep. His team tries to help follow him up. The Genji is still alive down there.
Taking away Punpu. Punpu actually gonna get taken out, so not all roses for the defending side here. Attackers making some inroads. And Nevix, unfortunately, has dropped the Tracer, says enough of that, and goes Reaper. So, again, this has not been the best day for Tracer in competition.
No, Tracer's like that really pretty girl you go out with once and realize she has no personality and start dating someone else. Everyone likes her at first, and then they just give up on her about 5 minutes in.
I disagree with that statement at so many levels, but I get your sentiment. So, we see Nevix coming in here, and he's gonna get taken out by Mafu. And yeah, let's take a look at the Hog here. Roadhog, we don't see him as much as we should, but I love the fact that SG-1 plays him, and I think he is a little bit underutilized in competition. And let's see, he does get the hook on 76, takes him out. Gonna take a breather, and in comes the sound barrier for the defenders, and this will help them sort of clean up the attack of Arcane.
Yeah, Primal Rage gets popped in retreat just to get the health and to get out alive. Not exactly how you want to be using your ultimate. In some cases like that, I actually prefer if the hero just stays there and dies, doesn't pop their ultimate. They're going to be back with their team in pretty much the same amount of time, and then with a much more powerful toolkit.
Let's take a look at things. So we still have a Genji in the backfield. Crew's just waiting for his team to get up here. He is in position. I do think the other Genji has been alerted to his presence, so we'll see if he's in position to take this. I'm not sure he has
very aggressive transcendence, but no one's really in it. Now they all group up a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit out of sorts, but Nevix is able to pick up the quick kill on Rula, so we'll see where this goes. Punpu, though, making his presence, though. Deadeye is out! And look at the Deadeye from Punpu. Doesn't get the kills, but definitely does the damage. And now we see the defense in hot pursuit. And that being said, it's kind of interesting. It was a good showing from the defense, but they weren't able to get presence at the point. I feel like that was a little bit of a mistake from their point.
Yeah.
Like they were swarming all around. They could have gone on the point and stopped the capture point, but they didn't.
They won the fight and lost the point at the exact same time. It was very strange to watch. However, they did kind of stall them out. There's not the momentum of the offense constantly pushing through, so they're gonna be able to post up in pretty good defensive spots. Really, the moment this match turns is when this door shuts behind the shuttle, and then everyone has to filter through these very two small doors. Nevix with a very aggressive spot on the shuttle. He gets spotted out by Himsy very quickly, though.
Yeah, he has to be careful. I think he does have the orb on him, so he's a little bit more tanky. Has to be careful in fighting the Genji, though, just because, you know, Genji can turn those fights. With the Discord orb on the Genji, though, it makes it a little bit more in the Reaper's favor.
Yeah, but Genji can also make you shoot yourself in the face, which is never fun.
Oh, Devix coming in with the Death Blossom, but is taken out immediately by Punpu. I think that was a headshot by Punpu, just putting an end to that very quickly. But I'll tell you what, Nevix had lived maybe a second or two longer, the story would have been completely different.
Yeah, but some pretty questionable ults, I'd say, coming out from Arcane so far. One in the retreat from the Primal Rage I thought was just a waste. That second one there, a Death Blossom with none of his team around. If it kills everyone, he looks like a hero, but if it happens just there, now he's just a guy without an ultimate.
As a thing, we do have the Dragon Blade coming out for the offense. Cruz bringing it out. We do see the defensive Transcendence out. So really, ultimates countering ultimates here. Nevix, though, does take out the Roadhog. Here comes Cruz, takes out the Zenyatta. And this is looking not too bad for Arcane Esports as they push in here, Hex.
No, it looks very good, especially with the opposing Zenyatta down. That's really going to nerf the opposing Genji, which is really the big pickup there. Killing a Zenyatta kills about 1.5 heroes net worth.
Yeah, but it's not over yet. We do see the Earthshaker coming down, and defense holding strong, or at least they were up until this point. Nevix with another 2 kills.
Whoa.
And Arcane now going to make a statement as they push through this hangar.
How did Nevix get a Death Blossom again so fast? He must have just been chunking through people.
I think, well, if you die too quickly
oh,
in your
that's
Death
right,
Blossom,
yeah.
you don't use all of it up.
I forgot
so
he got a shot in the head immediately.
Yeah, so he saved a little bit of his ult charge, and I'm gonna note for the offense, Sanchez still has sound barrier, so they can keep rolling here, though they will probably just get countered by the other sound barrier of Zappas. So taking a look, both teams trading off fights, and the payload is moving, so really, SG-1 deciding, okay, we're gonna concede a little bit here and stay a bit further back.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart defense. If you're not going to really stop them, put them back to the choke point that is these 2 doors, then holding a little further back is great. But it looks like they want to actually initiate from the defensive point.
Yeah, we saw Himsy come at the Dragon Blade, but did not work out the way he wanted. Earthshatter comes down for the defense, and they get 2 kills off of that. And again, Punpu really working as the heart of the defending team here, picking off people left, right, and center, and just a lot of raw DPS, but down he goes to Cruz. Cruz going in, still has a Dragon Blade too, but down he goes to Himsy, so really just a lot of back and forth here between both teams. Himsy able to get in on the back, takes out the Zenyatta, and it's looking like this will be a bit of a defensive hold for SG-1.
Yeah, some decent defensive ultimates up too. I do like Roadhog's ultimate in a defensive posture because not only does it do a ton of damage, but it changes positioning so rapidly.
And nice deflects coming out. Actually deflects the Fire Strike as well. Don't see that every often, but deflecting Fire Strike, pretty scary because it will go back and go through barriers. It can go through barriers, just not Genji's deflect.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And SG-1 now actually looking very, very aggressive as they go in. They do have the Transcendence to sort of bolster this aggressiveness, and...
Yeah, this is one of those unseen choke points I talk about almost every time we're on this map. If you can hold defensively up here, it doesn't look like a choke point because there's two wide open doors. They're all on the same like 30-degree angle that can get spammed out really easy, and the offense has to flow through ultimates to get through here.
Arcane, we see Transcendence going down for both teams, but thus far, Arcane getting the better of it. 2 kills to 1. Thus far, they're hanging in there. Nevix takes that Rula, but we see a little bit coming back for SG-1 here, and it's starting to be somewhat of a wash on the point.
Yeah, if that fight's not over quickly, then it definitely favors the defenses. They're able to reinforce much faster. Now it's just down to like separate one-on-one fights.
But look at Pumpu though. Pumpu was still alive. He was able to come back in, pick up 2 kills, and if it's Pumpu sort of in the Voltaja role where if he's not dead, things go very, very well for his team.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to re-engage now. The Winston gets on the card. They have full numbers now. They have a couple decent ultimates, especially Winston's Primal Rage ultimate. Really good on this last point.
He just got sniped up by Mafu. Mafu with the Widow Switch, able to take him out, and that was some nice stuff coming up from Mafu. And now, even though they have Sound Barrier, they are without their Winston.
Yeah, Crew's able to take out his opposing number, Himsy up top, and Mafu down too. That is 3 quick kills from Arcane.
Hawks probably, I think there's miscommunication. Hawks sort of charged in there without a lifeline, and now, just like that, even with that pick on Winston, Arcane is rolling. They're looking to cut off the checkpoints, and they want to win this right here, Hex.
And it looks like they will. That Primal Rage, we've seen an angry monkey at that door of pretty much every Gibraltar we've casted for the last 2 weeks. Primal Rage on this last point is kind of your victory cigar. You know, you won, just set the monkey on the door, and no one's getting past it.
Yeah, it's, I mean, even though he has 1,000 HP and you can't shoot through it, it's pretty hard when he's knocking you back repeatedly, keeping you in their single file. Of course, we see Nevix coming in with the Q and the plays, so no surprise there.
Yeah.
Nevix, he's been having himself a bit of a game, Max.
That's just not fair for Roadhog at the end there. You hook someone and then he gets 3 shots off you instantly. That ain't cool, man. Anyway,
Cool.
Nevix with his sequel to the first ultimate, which I thought was very questionable, but maybe it was all planned out. He wanted to die immediately and save the rest of his ultimate for later, and he just used it there and got play of the game. I'll give him credit that was all part of his grander plan.
Just a bit, Hex, just a bit. So, we're going to be switching into the next side of Watchpoint Gibraltar. The time to beat is going to be 7:25, so that is a beatable time. But, honestly, I do think Arcane has a... Sorry, SG-1 might have their work cut out for them because it's beatable, but they have to move quickly.
Yeah, I mean... It's a middle of the road kind of time, I think. You know, definitely beatable, but you can't be just kind of slacking. I feel like it's average.
It is very average. One of those things where it's beatable, but I feel like both teams sort of feel like they have a lot to work with there. From the defensive end, yeah, we can defend this. From the attacking end, we can get in on this. Nothing too fast, nothing too slow.
Yeah, I mean, defense has a lot of chances now to just stall it out completely, too. So I'd give... You know, all things being equal, I just generally give the defending team the advantage in a situation like this.
So the gates are going to open here as the teams prepare their defenses, or really just one team. Attackers are stuck in there for a little while longer, but taking a look at the defending side for Arcane Esports, we have Rustler on Soldier 76, Nevix on Reaper, VO on Reinhardt, Lullaby on Zenyatta, Sanchez on Lucio, and Cruz on the Genji.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything crazy coming out from SG-1. Unfortunately, Mafu will play Winston, Himsy will be on Genji, Zappas will play as Lucio.
I feel like you're just wistful that there's no Pharah.
A little bit. I mean, Pharah was so part of the meta in the first couple weeks. Phase 1 beta seems like a million years ago now. Where are my Mercies? Where are my Pharahs? Now it's all Genjis and Zenyatas everywhere.
Every now and then you'll see a Mercy, usually from Burix, but that's about it. We didn't even see Esper play Mercy, and that was a sad, man.
Yeah, Burix did play Mercy, though, and, you know, well, maybe we'll see Burix again, you know, later today or in another tournament, but his Mercy play was really good today.
Yep. So, the opening bell is going to be sounded. It is now SG-1's turn to attack, and we'll see if they can beat the time that Arcane just set.
They come out hot, pushing pretty hard. They're just going to kind of get pelted down by this 76.
Yeah, the 76, we see this a lot where the 76 posts up, gets defended by a Reinhardt or something, and just plays wasting the other team. And Nevix and Cruz getting in the flank, aided by that 76 poke, and that's 3 down already for the attacking side.
Most importantly, it took down 3 of their very important players. The Zenyatta went down first, and then it took down Pumpu. So pretty much the core of the team got annihilated, and that push stopped very quickly.
Yeah, and Arcane, again, showing their defensive chops. I mean, they had a great defense on Hollywood, and, you know, Gibraltar arguably a little bit even more favorable to the defending team. So we'll see how this works out from the Arcane Esports side of things.
Yeah,
taking a look at Cruz right now. Cruz was looking for the behind flank, and I think he's just sort of going to go back and sort of help deal with Himsy here. Does get the pick on Himsy, but the time will go to the first checkpoint, and down goes Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz goes on. Pumpu doing just more work as McCree in the back lines.
Yeah, that's another 2 picks coming out for SG-1. SG-1 looking strong. Drops the Sound Bearer. Sound Bearer down for both teams, actually. And it's going to be another one of those brawls. But again, we see more picks coming out. And Mafu and Pumpu on the pursuit. And just like that, Himsy also in the back gets another 2 kills. And SG-1 making a strong play to get directly into the hangar here, Hex.
Yeah, Himsy's still alive on the chase. Himsy finally goes down to Sanchez. It's going to really depend where Arcane feels they can hold effectively. Ideally, they'd like to stop this point. The Death Blossom comes into that effect. 3 kills.
Yeah, that was a big triple kill coming out from Nevix. Nevix able to sort of make an exclamation point there, and by valuable time where they'll be able to stall them out at this point a little bit longer, because it's not just the checkpoint that matters in terms of time, it also matters for spawns. Once that next checkpoint gets hit, the defenders spawn further back, the attackers spawn further up, so now they can delay them even further out, and this definitely helps for buying themselves some time.
Yeah, and you have to think that, you know, just looking back in the last match when the fight was lost but the point was won, that, you know, they'd like to have that back.
Yeah, we see Cruz actually doing a little bit of work in the backfield. Does have to get out. Is holding on the Dragon Blade, though, so I think we'll see that a little bit soon. And he has Zenyatta in his sights, but still has to pay attention to the other Genji. All right, here comes the Dragon Blade. Dragon Blade is being set up, going for the 2-shot if possible. VO picking up 2 kills as Reinhardt, so nice stuff there. Sound Bearer coming up for the defenders. I think this is going to be a full defensive wipe in favor of Arcane Esports.
It looks like at the very late Transcendence from Lullaby, only when it was needed. They're kind of just negating this Primal Rage completely. Now that the Winston is discorded, he should die momentarily, and he does.
Yeah, so SG-1 find themselves having to regroup again, and they have to be worried about the time. I mean, they do have about 4.5 minutes left, so they're not entirely under the gun yet, but if they get stalled out here for another 1 or 2 pushes, it might start spelling the end, because then they have to get through the hangar and the last point. Just progressively, the pressure mounts.
It's a lot of ground to cover, and not only that, but there's those artificial map barriers, which always tack on time. You have to wait for doors to open. You got to go up ramps. It gets tough.
And they're coming in off the Lucio speed boost. They don't have any defensive ults to really go in on it, but Nevix able to take some people out in the back. Rustler, Zappis trading off kills. Deadeye is going to come down there for Pumpu, but he really has nothing to do. He's going to have to hold it. Right clicks to saves it. But doesn't even matter. Pumpu able to take out the Genji, and Mafu doing work in the backline as well.
Yeah, that's going to be point, I think, unless this Lucio gets really ambitious and tries to get on cart. He thinks about it and backs out.
So this is good from SG-1's perspective. Maybe they wouldn't have liked to have gotten stalled there as long as they did, but 3 minutes, 40 seconds. They can definitely get through the hangar and get to the last point. They just have to keep making a good time.
Yeah, but any stall is really going to hurt their chances of being able to pull this map win off, so they need to not only keep consistent numbers on the cart, but they need to get forward ahead and get pressure to make space for that cart to move through.
Taking a look at Bio right now. Bio holding on to Earthshatter, definitely looking into it. Once the shield situation gets a little bit less intimidating, down it goes. It gets 3 people. That was a great Earthshatter. And Arcane going to take out the majority of the SG-1 team, so good stuff coming out from them. Nice Earthshatter by Bio to set that up with the Lucio speed boost.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we see Cruz kind of backing up now. I'd imagine that this Genji would be going forward, but that's because we've seen very aggressive Genjis throughout the day.
From the shadows.
Taking a look, we do have Nevix up in the hangar. Does have Death Blossom. We've seen Nevix get some great Death Blossoms already today, so really dangerous times now for the SG-1 team.
Yeah, they're trying to take some high ground. They try to take this hangar, but they kind of an uncoordinated dual hangar push from Himsy and Mafu, and they both end up dying in it.
Yeah, the Dragon Blade from Himsy comes out. Himsy going in deep, gets 2 kills off the Dragon Blade, so a little bit of extra momentum for the attackers coming in. Nevix did go down, I believe, before getting to use his ultimate, so a little bit of back and forth there. We do have the Sound Barrier coming out for the defender, so they really use that to push forward just a bit, but take a look at Pumpu. Pumpu is not done yet. He is fanning the hammer and then some.
Yep.
And that is 3 more kills for the attacking side and SG-1. And SG-1, this is exactly what they need if they want to get through this hanger.
Yeah, McCree gets all the low, but Hawks really went crazy there on his Earth Shatter. He stopped 8 in an opposing charge, then charged in, took out 2, and ended up with 3 total
Take a
kills.
look at this. Nevix setting up on top. Here comes a Death Blossom. He's dropping in, gets 2 kills before the Transcendence comes down. 3 kills. And great stuff coming in from Nevix. They were not prepared, and they're going to stop them from getting through the hangar as they wanted to do.
Yeah, he forced that Primal Rage out too, so even for this next push, they're going to be very much down ultimates, although Transcendence is up, and that is enough to be able to try to push this. Now they have to really be feeling that sense of urgency.
Yeah, I mean, they basically just have to take Transcendence to go here and hope that's enough to counter Dragon Blade, because looking at the time, there's only about a minute and a half left for SG-1. This is not where they need to be. They have a long way to go. They have to just wipe them here and go non-stop all the way to the end. Dragon Blade is going to come out. Transcendence comes out for the attackers, but it's a little bit too late. Cruz has already struck 2 kills down, so this is not good at all for SG-1.
Yeah, those Transcendence timings have to be within a millisecond for the most part. If you lose people before the Transcendence comes off, you did not really successfully pop your Transcendence on time. There's almost no excuse with the instant cast either, so a tough Transcendence there is not going to get them the progress they need on the cart, and that might just spell end of map.
Yeah, the big issue they have, they're going to deal with the Defensive Sound Barrier. Defensive Sound Barrier does come down, and they're going to be hard-pressed to get the kills they want here, dealing with that level of HP, and there it is. 2 defensive picks are out. We do have the Dragon Blade coming out from Himsy, but Himsy has his work cut out for him here. He has to deal with the Winston, has to deal with everything in the back. Still getting good slices off, staying alive, and helps to get 2, now 3 kills, so Himsy threading the needle and then some, doing some work, but the time situation is not looking good at all for SG-1. I mean, they have 23 seconds. It might be mathematically impossible now.
Yeah, this door opens very slowly.
Yeah, taking a look at 15 seconds. I believe Arcane Arcane Esports will take this, and they're going to even up the series 1-1.
So our first best of 3 of the day comes from Arcane and SG-1. Not really surprised. I mean, Arcane has looked really good in a lot of tournaments, SG-1 too, and honestly, I can't predict the region. It's just, I never know. I mean, all the teams are so good. They're all nearly at the same level. There's a couple big standout teams, very consistent teams, but most of these teams in Europe can take maps against each other. It's just a really strong region right now.
Yep, so we talked about this earlier. What was it? The truck of shame, the truck full of the truck of tears. Is gonna move. The truck of tears is gonna move forward here. They wish that they could have brought this payload up a little bit sooner, but Arcane with a successful hold, and we are gonna move on to map number 3.
Yeah, credit to a player, or admirable player in the Twitch chat who coined the term truck of tears, as the losing team must push the cart to the end to see the play of the game.
My money's on Nevix, one of his Death Blossoms. I think that's what it has to be. But every now and then you do get sort of the Zenyatta who sneaks in and is just like, but what about me?
I think Hawks might have it.
Oh,
yeah.
Hawks, yeah, there you go.
This was the great, is towards the bottom of the hangar. He stalls someone else's halt, and then watch this charge. Boom.
Just crunches Winston to the wall, and just, yeah, I mean, Hawks had some great plays this game as well, so. Honestly, good stuff coming out from both teams. SG-1 and Arcane trading out blows. We are going to move on to map number 3.
Whew. The Reinhardt play today has just been top notch across the board. I mean, I keep saying today. I forget that we've only been in this tournament for two to three games, 2 sets, but we've been casting since 5 in the morning our time. So I've seen a lot of Overwatch today, and I'm just telling you, Reinhardt is not out of the meta just yet. He took a brief week off or so and let Winston take his spot for a bit, but definitely still in the meta is Reinhardt. The ultimate's so good. The charge follow-up, I mean, he can swing matches in a way that a few other tanks can, if any other tanks can, really.
Yeah, I mean, even though Earthshatter did get that big nerf from Beta 1 to Beta 2, realistically speaking, it still has a really wide range, and you catch enough people on a narrow track like when they're sort of in between the payload, you can do a lot of work as
It
Reinhardt.
absolutely needed that nerf. I don't think there's any debate about it. You could be across the map and get hit by an Earth Shatter, and you just didn't understand why or how it happened.
Well, the biggest thing that really changes Earth Shatter is that Earth Shatter, it's really the vertical part of it, whereas before you could jump, be way in the air. A Pharah would be just, 3 feet into the air, hovering, minding her own business, and somehow the Earth Shatter would still knock her down, just be like, what? She wasn't even on the ground.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the key component of Earth Shatter is Earth, and if I'm in the air, I should not be affected by Earth, right?
So are you saying we should see a new tank hero with Air Shatter? Just, we're not going.
Let's make Farah's life even more difficult. She's too dominant in the current meta.
Yeah, she's way too dominant.
Actually,
Air
it probably
Shatter.
would help to like control the air, mostly not even for Farah, but just because Genji is so crazy. It's just like a Bumblebee with a katana. It's unfair.
Bumblebee with a katana.
Well, I mean, have you seen him jump around? He's so hard to track and so hard to hit. I mean, you watch these
is it
pro
bad when you say
players who have
Bumblebee?
amazing tracking and amazing aim, and they're struggling 4v1 to hit him, you know?
Is it bad when you said Bumblebee? I immediately thought Transformers. Just for a split
Kind
second.
of. I mean, I guess you're just brainwashed in that aspect. I thought of the beautiful little flower hopping little insects.
And not the Transformer movies, but like original Transformers, like
Oh,
the yellow
okay.
dude.
I guess it's less bad. Still bad.
Yeah, no, not Michael Bay. Not
Right,
Darth
but I
Michael
mean,
Bay.
it still is like you're taking a nature life-giving thing in Bumblebees, turning it into a commercialized plastic toy. So you need to work it right, man. Go outside.
Look, there's certain things that just get ingrained in you from your childhood. Part of our children's TV shows, and then the advertisements. I mean, at this point, everyone still remembers the Crossfire theme song from back in the day.
Yeah.
Probably the most effective advertising campaign of all time.
Yeah,
But that being said,
go ahead.
we are getting into the draft already, and SG-1 not wasting any time in taking out Hanamura.
Not surprising, Hanamura's gone.
So, Li Zhang being removed from Arcane. Maybe Arcane doesn't want to go to King of the Hill, who knows? But after that, they take out Temple of Anubis, so Temple of Anubis lovers, yet again, you'll have to wait for another day. Are Temple of Anubis lovers a thing?
If you want to play
or did I
Temple of
just reference a
Anubis,
non-existent-
yeah, just queue up with me. All I queue up into is Temple of Anubis, attack and defend constantly for about 2 hours each night. So if you're looking to play Temple of Anubis, add me on Battle.net and join my luck of always playing Temple of Anubis. That's how I can solve our Temple of Anubis lovers.
Doesn't he sound so thrilled, people, about all his Temple of Anubis play?
I actually don't mind. I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at not getting
That
angry
is some
at it,
serious
actually.
Stockholm syndrome.
I'm getting better at not getting mad at it. I've accepted my fate. Like every time I go to Anubis, I'm like, this is my life now. This is my life.
I'm just shaking my head, but it's looking like we're going to be heading to Dorado or Numbani here on the draft. SG-1 will be the deciders of their fate, and we are moving to Numbani for the third and final map number 3.
Numbani's the new King's Row, man. We've seen a lot of Numbani today, and I imagine we'll keep seeing that trend. First point Numbani has got to be something that new teams, old teams, every team alike should be practicing consistently, because it's pretty high odds that you're going to be forced to attack or defend Numbani at some point in time.
Yep. So, we are heading in to Numbani. Team should be ready very shortly, and yeah, I'm curious to see if we see any sort of meta change-ups or anything. I mean, really know what I want to see. We saw Devix tinker with it to begin with, but could we see more Tracer play?
I think we'll probably see 2 minutes of Tracer play until they get offer and choose a real hero like we've seen so far. I'm only saying it because I know you love Tracer. I think Tracer has a place in the metagame, but that's what we've seen so far today. Every time we've seen Tracer, we've seen someone run it for 2 minutes, do absolutely nothing with it, and then switch to heroes. I mean, can you dispute that fact?
I absolutely cannot dispute that fact whatsoever.
That's what makes
it's not been a good day for Tracer. No, I mean, we've seen teams try and run Tracer, and then, I don't know, Tracer runs into a McCree, 2 shots later, Tracer's just like, okay, not running Tracer. And I do think there's a big place for her, but, Tracers do have to sort of navigate the minefield that is McCree. And it does look like we are switching off SG-1 wanting to be the ones on attack this time around.
Right, and all the different heroes that we've said have kind of defined the meta, from the Mercies to the Reinhardts to the Lucios. McCree has been that staple for a while, even after his nerf, and he's defining the meta in a way of, like, what can you run against him? It's why you don't see as many Pharahs, it's why you don't see as many Tracers. He shuts them down so hard that it's hard to run them. And along with not seeing a Pharah, of course, you're not going to run a Mercy because the mobility becomes being less. So as far as affecting the meta, as much as Lucio's in so many compositions, as Reinhardt was in so many compositions, and how the meta is shifting and changing, it's kind of really it's been the cowboy meta since the beginning of time.
He really has. So they're asking if they're ready. We are certainly ready. Hopefully both teams are ready as we go into map number 3, Numbani. This is SG-1 versus Arcane Esports, and they're giving us a show already in the round of 8, Hex.
Yeah, it's been a good matchup so far, and I really expected nothing less. You know, I was going through the teams signed up, and I'm like, oh, all these teams. And then I even look at like kind of like, I don't want to call them secondary teams, but emerging teams that always, you know, go out in round 1 or round 2, and Arcane was in there, and Arcane is putting on a pretty good show against SG-1. So the European region, man, I've no clue what's going on, nothing to say about it. Teams are forming, reforming. I think IDDQD's one of the top teams. I don't know, G2's not playing, SG-1 is up there, Flat Earth's up there, Reunited's always up there. Everyone is up there in Europe.
Yeah, and that's just a little bit unfortunate that Flat Earth was not able to participate today. It did seem like they were going to go in today, but whether they just signed up late or had an incomplete registration or what, yeah, I feel like we got a little bit robbed by not seeing them today.
Yeah, but plenty of other teams available to take their place. We're only in round of 8, and this feels like a semifinal. Arcane looking to really kind of carve a name for themselves, much in the way that SG-1 did last week by beating some of the other top European teams. So anyone's game. Numbani should be crazy map, and I guess we're going to be seeing McCrees all over the place.
Yep, well, take a look at the defensive side coming out from Arcane. We got Sanchez on Lucio, Lullaby on the Zenyatta, Vio on Reinhardt again, Ruster on the Winston, Nevix on the Reaper, and Cruz rounding things out as McCree.
Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary so far in attack. Mafu's going to be playing McCree, Himzi's on Genji, Zappas, Lucio, Rula on Zenyatta. Pumpu is actually going to be playing Reaper, and actually Himzi switches off to a Winston. I like the Winston here. Winston on Numbani goes very well.
Yep, but Himzi, we'll have to watch out for the Reaper of Nevix, because you run into Reaper in the wrong way as Winston, and you will be going down in short order.
Yeah, of note, no Genjis in this match so far.
Yeah, no Genjis. That might be a first for Numbani today, actually. Usually one team is running to get it. Either they're on attack or defense, and wow, they just hit with the ultra going up the side. They just went through the front door, exactly. And right now, few people down on both sides, sort of turning into a brawl on top of the fight, but Nevix and Ruster picking up the kills. I think this will be a successful defense, but look at that. They almost got a third there just by going into the front door.
Yeah.
I don't think Arcane was particularly ready for that. I mean, they had good adjustments midway through, but it's like, oh, you know, why go through the classic left side when we could just go straight up the gut?
Yeah, they even had no one up on this left flank, which usually you have someone up here defending. So kind of caught him by surprise. The fight started off evenly, but then Nevix with a couple kills really turned the tide.
Yep. And again, they're just going up the front. They're not playing the side game at all. They're just like, look, tell us why we can't go through the middle. But right now, Arcane making a pretty convincing case as they collapse down from the high ground with 3 kills. Nevix doing a whole ton of work. Is going to take out Pumpu as well. And I gotta tell you, the next offensive run for SG-1 probably isn't gonna fare a whole lot better, because look at the ultimate situation, Hex.
Not looking great. That's what happens when you run face first into people 3 times or 2 times in a row. They might want to try the side here. I think the real issue is they don't really have anything to take high ground.
The meta game here, think about it. They went up the gut twice and it was not expected, but surely they wouldn't expect to go up the gut 3 times in a row. It's the triple mind game. But that being said, I don't care what mind games they have. Look at the ultimate situation. They are almost certainly going to get bopped as they come in here. Yeah. All the ultimates are up on the defensive side. And speaking of getting bopped, Reinhardt and Reaper not wasting any time, taking out all the people together. And actually, only, I think, Death Blossom went down there.
Yeah, the way you play Reaper nowadays is you hide in a corner, you wait for a team to run past you and not check the corner for some reason, even though their own Reaper hides in that corner often, does the exact same thing, and then you Death Blossom into it. We've seen it happen time and time again. People are not checking their corner, not checking their sides, because these fights happen so fast with speed bursts and initiations that, yeah, that's...
Here comes Reinhardt. Reinhardt with the Earth Shatter, knocks down 3 people from above, actually dies very quickly, the Pumpu. So, Pumpu making stuff happen. Brings up the Death Blossom and a little bit of life in SG-1 here, but they are still down on ultimates, and it's going to show, I think, as this goes forward.
Yeah, Hemsy's going to try to put some time on there. Zappa should probably just get out of there. Does not. It pays his life for it. And Nevix is running a really strong Reaper. You know, not to take anything away from him, but check your corners. He's in this corner again.
Yeah, he will have Death Blossom up here, but Lullaby does have an unanswered Transcendence. There will be no defensive ultimates on the defensive end to sort of deal with this, so they can rush forward with Transcendence and know that they're not going to be dealing with a Sound Barrier or a Transcendence, so that is something good on the offensive end. They're going up the gut again, Hex. They are not playing the side game at all, and oh no! Zenyatta went down before he could use Transcendence. That is terrible for the offense. And then comes Nevix. Nevix, does Death Blossom, doesn't quite get as much value as he wants, but it's still looking good for the defense. And what was looking so promising for the offense just went down in terrible fashion. I believe it was Cruz taking out Rula. I mean, at least they'll have Transcendence up for the next fight, but the problem is I think both defensive Sound Barrier and Transcendence will be up, so not going to have nearly the same amount of impact.
Yeah, pretty rough drop there. Dropping Transcendence that was supposed to swing that fight. Now they only have like 1 or 2 push. Only 1 push with Transcendence. I doubt he's going to get a second one up. So this is really their last good chance. They do run a Pharah though to try to take some high ground. Mafu does come up on a Pharah.
He's up in the Pharah, but look at Nevix. Nevix is again uncontested as he walks in and does pretty much whatever he wants to do. The Transcendence does come out from the offense, but they're not able to pick up any kills as it's going down, and Nevix not able to finish off Zenyatta. I think he meleeed a little bit too soon there. In any case, the defense looking pretty solid, picking up 3 people so far. The offensive Earthshatter comes down, but really just hits nothing.
Yeah, mostly where they're struggling SG-1 is I think the initiations aren't quite on point. They're not really taking high ground with any sort of aggressive or coordination, and I also wouldn't mind a couple tanks here. They tried to run a Winston and Reinhardt together, but they always ended up splitting up, and they're losing their supports. Has been the endemic of the failures of their pushes. They need those tanks to be protecting the supports for a little longer.
Yeah, they absolutely do. So, incoming, potentially the last push from SG-1. They have to get on this very quickly. They're very much disadvantaged now. The only thing they have is Death Blossom versus a whole slew of ults on the defending side. Nevix, though, going in with the Death Blossom, going to wipe everything out. And that is going to be GG. Round 1, Arcane looking very, very strong in. And now, SG-1's only hope to stay in the tournament is putting on just as impressive a defense on the other side.
Yeah, they have to hold this first point. And that's it. If they give up the first point, they are out of our tournament. One of many Nevix Q of the games coming up here. Maybe not.
Yeah, look at it. I mean, gets Q towards the end of this. I'm not even sure if he uses it. I mean, everyone's already dead. Why? Who needs Q of the game when you have left click of the game?
That's a pretty good kill streak.
And I'll tell you what, Hex, I remember why now I actually remember Nevix. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Although, Ruster with 8 jump pack kills is pretty cool. You don't see that often. I don't think I've ever seen that card.
No, not at all. So
Jump pack kills.
Really? Actually saw it earlier today from Mafu.
That's right. So yeah, Winston, man. A lot of damage. You forget that the initiation actually does a ton of damage when he lands. Or I forget that, because I always miss
that's
mine.
why it's a jump pack kill, because when he comes in, it's something like 70 damage. It does a lot. Man, I just want to say, you know where I think really SG-1 went wrong there? The time that they had where they could have gone through was when they had Transcendence, and Arcane didn't have Transcendence or Sound Barrier, and the Zenyatta was picked very, very early in the fight by Cruz.
Yeah.
That was probably the most valuable pick of the entire game, because they didn't get the Transcendence off. People did go down as a result, and they never really got an advantageous ult situation ever again.
Yeah, I mean, for the people with Team Fortress backgrounds, it's very similar to having a medic get picked and dropping Uber. That's exactly what that happened there. They needed it for the push, and losing it not only cost them the push, but then gave the other team a chance to get their own Transcendence and or Uber up. So a rough pick there, and that's why I think like they should have just kind of dedicated a tank to only protecting their supports. Their supports were dying early in fights, earlier than they had to anyway.
You know what I think is really useful in maps like these, particularly control points, where people tend to get grouped up? Zarya can be so effective at, Graviton Surge, either clearing on straight capture points, or, hybrid maps like this where it's payload for most of it, but capture point to begin with. I wonder if a Zarya would have helped them there, both for protecting the Zen and also just sort of grouping things up.
Yeah, Zarya offers a lot of utility. Like I mentioned in a previous cast we did today, that the tank tank role overall in Overwatch, I think, is super interesting. They all have their purpose. They all have their spot in the meta in the game. You're not only seeing Reinhardt plus whatever. You're seeing a lot of different tanks, see a lot of different action. And to that point, Himsy is back on Roadhog.
Take a look at the SG-1 roster. We got Zappis on Lucio, Pumpu on the McCree, yet again, Rula on Zenyatta, Hawks on Reinhardt, Himsy on Roadhog, as you just brought up, and Mafu on Reaper. So, the win condition here for Arcane is simple. Simply go for it and capture point A, and they will move on to face what I believe is IDD QD.
Well, we've got a Pharah, so I'm excited to see what Nevix can do on his Pharah. I'd imagine they know that Mafu's up here on his Reaper, since that's where they put their Reaper the entire time. I don't know why teams aren't calling that out and why they're still getting killed by corner Reapers.
This is so scary to be a Pharah. Not only is Roadhog a huge threat, but also Reaper. I feel like he has Mission Impossible going for him, but Cruz able to take out Pumpu in the beginning, and wow, nice stuff from Cruz.
Yeah,
Double kill from him. So Arneva.
It is
Yeah,
messy
both
down
teams sort of
there.
brawling it out here, but this is not looking that bad at all for the attacking side. They're actually ahead by 1 kill thus far, and Nevic's still alive. Lullaby able to get a few extra kills, and just like that, it might just be GG.
Lullaby pitching in there at the end with a couple kills on his Zenyatta. It's nice to see the Zen Master get a few kills as well, and that is GG. SG-1 is out.
Yeah, and I honestly I thought SG-1 had the edge going in here, but Arcane showing that, you know what? They've learned from their losses, they've leveled up, and they're here to play, so they're going to move on to the semifinals of the GosuGamers Overwatch Weekly Europe.
Oh, congratulations to Arcane. SG-1, man, it is so muddy right now in the middle of the European division, where any team is both the best and the worst team that day. I have no idea who's going to win. It's such a logjam right now. I mean, who's the third best team in Europe? No one knows.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I absolutely could not tell you. So, I'm going to bring up the bracket here from just sort of show you guys where everything stands. And yes, IDDQD did advance to the semifinals. So, the next semifinal match you will be watching will be Arcane versus IDD